Manchester United's biggest weakness is Tottenham's biggest strength, and that is how we can beat Man United at Old Trafford tomorrow. Welcome back to the Ben Bowman YouTube channel. I hope you're doing well. Big game tomorrow for Spurs. Ange Postecoglou versus Erik ten Hag. Two managers supposedly under pressure in the Premier League, but one of those sides is going in a much different direction and a much more positive direction than the other, and that for me is Tottenham Hotspur, and this is why I think we can get a very positive result at Old Trafford tomorrow. This is how I think we should set up in this game, unchanged from the Brentford game at the weekend. Such an excellent performance in that one. The best one of the season so far for Spurs. Rodrigo Bentancur in the middle of midfield with Kulusevski and Maddison ahead of him. I think that's the best balance for the game tomorrow. I want to talk about the fact that Spurs' wider fullbacks, we're not inverting as much anymore, is going to help us in defensive transition against Manchester United tomorrow, who are going to want to be direct. Xerxes is going to drop that a little bit deeper, and they're going to want to get those wingers in Garnacho and Rashford, or whether it's Ahmad and Rashford or Ahmad and Garnacho in behind. Xerxes is going to drop that a little bit deeper. We saw that in the game against Crystal Palace last weekend. You saw there Xerxes dropping that deeper, playing that almost 9.5 role for Manchester United. United would look to expose that. In Tottenham, they might see that Spurs have a weakness with the higher line, trying to get balls in behind, owned over the top. United are direct, they're quick in the way that they want to attack, and they'll use Xerxes to allow those wingers to go beyond him. But I think Spurs are set up better now. I think there's more structure to prevent that from happening. Udogie had a very good game 1v1 against Garnacho at Old Trafford last year, and if it is Garnacho that plays on that right-hand side, I think Udogie knows that he can deal with him. Rashford against Porro. Again, Rashford got the better of Porro in that first half at Old Trafford last year. I remember obviously got that goal coming down that side. So United will try and hurt us. They won't press as high. They'll let us have possession and they'll look to spring on the counter-attack. But I think when you look at Spurs' structure against Brentford that we saw last weekend, with those fullbacks not inverting as much, getting up and down rather than inverting in the middle of midfield, I think that structure allows Tottenham to prevent as much as possible that from happening and United breaking quickly and getting in behind us. Not saying that Spurs aren't going to be vulnerable to that at all, but I think we're in a better place now to go up against a side like Man United who want to counter-attack and want to get in behind. Especially when we're going to want to dominate the possession, and especially Spurs' work out of possession as well, which is why I think we're going to win this game and why I think Bentancur, Maddison and Kulusevski are so key, as is this man here, Dominic Solanke, as you can see in the picture. If we go back to Thursday night for Manchester United, Christian Eriksen caught in possession here for the FC20 equaliser. They run through and score. This starts from 20 being direct, running at Manchester United, then backing off, something they don't really like. The tackle comes in. Agate, it'll be interesting to see whether he plays tomorrow in that deeper midfield position. Of course, he's going to break up the play that little bit more. He's far more press resistant than someone like a Casemiro. That's why Agate's been brought in. And obviously, I've referenced a lot when looking at this Spurs-Man United game, the Liverpool game a few weeks ago at Old Trafford, where United really, really struggled in possession and Liverpool absolutely murdered them. I think this is the second goal here. Luis Diaz nicking it off Casemiro. They turn it over. They work it from right to left, and Diaz is in that position to score. Of course, I think Spurs can definitely hurt Man United in this same way tomorrow, but I don't think they're going to be quite as vulnerable in possession with Agate in the team compared to Casemiro. However, Eriksen obviously showed that kind of fallible side there, potentially switching off for this goal. Agate wins it back and he gets caught. United are vulnerable in possession. And the thing is, they sort of have this half press. They don't press with a load of intensity, but they do try and press. Bruno Fernandes is a bit erratic in it. And it sort of pulls that midfield a little bit out of position. And where the defensive line wants to sit that little bit deeper, it creates a lot of gaps in midfield for, as we saw for Liverpool, to run at them. We saw that in the example here. Manu gets caught in possession by McAllister and they're able to run and they're in on goal. They have a problem in that area, United. They are weak in the midfield. Agate beefs them up a little bit. But I do think Fernandes, Spurs are able to pinch the ball off him. Spurs are able to pinch the ball off Kobbie Mainoo. And if it is Eriksen that plays, Eriksen gives Manchester United more balance in and out of possession. And if you look at the average positions of their game against Liverpool compared to Manchester United, they're so lopsided against Liverpool. Liverpool and Crystal Palace rather. They're so lopsided against Liverpool. And again, if you go back to the first goal that Liverpool scored in this game at Old Trafford, it comes from Gravenberch intercepting the ball there and just having a clear run on Manchester United's left-hand side to set that chance up. With Eriksen in the team, it brings a bit more balance and a bit more solidity in that midfield. However, again, you're looking at a big gap between that forward line and that defence, and you compare that to Spurs' structure. That's why I think we can win that game tomorrow. I think we can exploit that gap, and with the direct runners of Dejan Kulusevski, just remove those. The direct runners of Dejan Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke, Brennan Johnson, and Heung-Min Son once we turn the ball over, I think Spurs are in business against United. I really do think we're in business against United. And we know how strong Spurs are out of possession. And we know United have a weakness playing in and around their own final third. Tottenham, Thursday night, against Qarabag. First goal comes from Dominic Solanke pinching the ball off the number 6 and then going to set Brennan Johnson free. There's another chance. Again, I spoke about this heavily in the video that I did, what we learned from Spurs 3, Qarabag 0, where I spoke a lot about Dominic Solanke in that video. And you're seeing it again in this example here. Dominic Solanke pinching the ball off the number 6. And look at the runners that Spurs have got there. And you compare that to Liverpool. Runners, first goal. Runners, second goal. Runners, third goal. And they kill them. And look, I do think United have solidified quite a bit since that Liverpool game for sure. At the back, generally, I think De Ligt's made a good impact, although he did play in this game. I think De Ligt and Martinez are suspect still a little bit on the ball, and I think Spurs can get at them in that aspect too, just like they can in the midfield. But they have solidified a little bit. But this game against Twente with Eriksen, despite the fact that Eriksen's been playing really well for United in the last few weeks, and I think potentially could be a contender to start tomorrow instead of Agate. However, I do think they'll look to shore up that little bit more with Agate. Shows that even someone like him, who gives them so much in and out of possession, or certainly has been doing the last few games, is vulnerable. And then again, you look at the gaps that they leave and they go through and they score. So that's why, with the direct runners that we've got in the team and our ability to press, if you look here at the stats, Gus, brilliant Twitter account, go and give Gus a follow. Obviously, he's put a lot of stats together here, and I want to pick out a few key ones as to why I think they can help us beat Manchester United tomorrow. Tackles in the attacking third, first. Ball recoveries, third. Progressive carries, second. When you're talking about winning that ball back high up the pitch and going at United, who will want to back off, and you've got so many options for Spurs once they do that. You've got brilliant ball carriers in Kulusevski, Maddison, Bentancur, Solanke, Johnson, Son. I think Spurs can really, really get at them. And again, if you look at the pressing stats this season, in terms of Spurs' intensity, high pressing, high intensity, United somewhere in the middle. They will try and press Spurs, but I think they'll know, given, like I said earlier, the gaps that they will leave in midfield between that's just had to reload. Between that forward line and the defensive line, I think they might just sit back a little bit more tomorrow, because they know that is Spurs' biggest strength. Turning the ball over high up the pitch and creating chances that way. I spoke about this on the podcast that I do, Darren and Doing. I spoke about this on the Fighting Cock as well. And I spoke about this, actually, I think in a YouTube video I did after the Brentford game. That I think this midfield balance of Maddison and Kulusevski as those two number 10s is it. I think typically is it now for Spurs, in the sense of this is the way that we're going to go this season. I think in a big game like this away at Old Trafford, where you're going to need legs, I think a lot of the time we would look to someone like Pat Matasar in this game, obviously played on Thursday night. I think Spurs' approach is full throttle on the front foot. And I think Kulusevski, for what he gives you out of possession, someone who has got the same level of engine as Pat Matasar, he'll work so hard and he'll give you so much quality in the final third. I think this is the way that Spurs will go now. I want you to let me know in the comments, what are we saying tomorrow? Basuma or Bentancur tomorrow? If you had to pick one of those two to start right now, who would you pick? I think for me, it's still a bit of a toss of a coin. I won't be unhappy if either of them are playing in the team tomorrow. I would just slightly edge Rodrigo Bentancur in this one, because I think I'd like to see us make the most of him while we've got him before that ban comes in for sure. But again, think about how well he played on Saturday against Brentford. How well he played in this fixture last year as well at Old Trafford. Obviously got that goal that run from deep, which again, I'm talking about that Spurs turning over, playing through United with ease. I thought back just then to the second goal that we scored at Old Trafford just after the break last year to make it 2-2. Romero splits United with one defensive pass through the lines. And again, United's press isn't the most. They will try and press high, but it's a bit half-baked. And I think that's where Spurs can expose them. And then the gaps come in midfield. You get the runners from deep and you score a goal. And I think that's why Bentancur could be key tomorrow as well. And again, his ability to win the ball back, high up the pitch. And I want to go back to this game quickly, Crystal Palace against Manchester United. Because Kobbie Mainoo in this one, I think Kobbie Mainoo is incredibly press resistant. And I think he's great on the ball for the most part. Hasn't started the season, I don't think, in the same way necessarily. Let me just quickly move this across here for you. With Kobbie, in this game, he lost the ball 10 times and only won 1 out of his 2 ground duels. Christian Eriksen in this game lost the ball 17 times. Like I said, I think Eriksen and Mainoo, over the course of the season for United, give them good things on and off the ball. Eriksen is going to work really hard. He's going to cover the ground. And I think that's genuinely why he could potentially play tomorrow. And I think a lot of United fans are actually maybe calling for him to play over Bruno Fernandes because Bruno Fernandes doesn't do that. However, Bruno Fernandes might give you that killer pass and able to set you away on the transition. So again, they're vulnerable in possession in terms of giving the ball away. And I think when you look at that Crystal Palace midfield versus what Spurs have kind of got to offer in Maddison, Bentancur and Kulusevski, 3 tireless runners. Solanke, a tireless runner. Brennan Johnson, a tireless runner. I think we're in a much better place to turn them over on transition than Crystal Palace were last weekend. And they cannot be that slack on the ball like they were in the game against us last week. So I just wanted to touch on that quickly. But I think United are vulnerable. And I think they're there to be got at. And I've earmarked this game for a while now. You guys that have been watching the channel or listening to Daring and Doing or listening to the Fighting Cock, I've earmarked this game for a while as one that Spurs can really hurt United. And I feel like with the media noise that there is around Tottenham at the moment, it feels like we need a statement result. It feels like we need a statement performance to start to prove people wrong. Because me and you are watching it. Me and you are watching Tottenham. We're seeing us perform better than we were last season. I touched on it earlier when I come back to the Brentford game. We are seeing us with more of a structure, with us getting the best out of our attacking players, with our fullbacks staying higher and wider and a little bit more out the way, allowing this creative hub in the middle of the park, in Maddison, Kulusevski and Solanke, that cog in there, that nucleus of this attacking side to thrive. We're all seeing us change. We're all seeing us be better, you know. Gus is seeing us be better. Look at these stats here that back that up. The eye test backs it up. The results aren't backing it up. And that is where the media scrutiny is coming from. And if Spurs go out and get a great result against Manchester United at Old Trafford tomorrow, I think a lot of that goes away. I think there is this perception that these are 2 managers under pressure in Ten Hag and Postecoglou, when in reality, I think it's only one. And I think Spurs could potentially put the nail in the coffin against Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United tomorrow. Look, it's not going to be easy. Spurs' record at Old Trafford is tough. But like I said, with their vulnerability in possession, in dangerous areas, and the gaps that they leave, like we've highlighted before, and Spurs' ability to turn the ball over with relentless pressure and devastating quality at times in the final third, Spurs will get chances. It's about taking them. And that's kind of been the story of Spurs this season. But it feels like it's starting to come together. And I would absolutely love it to come together in a big way for Tottenham tomorrow at Old Trafford, because it would be a statement. It really, really would be a statement for Spurs. And I really hope with this side out there tomorrow, obviously there is, I haven't really touched on the fact that there are question marks over Heung-Min Son's fitness in this game. It might be Timo Werner, and then you do feel that little bit less confident about it. But at the moment, Dominic Solanke is showing that he's got a killer instinct. Brennan Johnson, 3 goals in 3 games, showing that he's got a killer instinct. Sonny, when he gets the chances, we know that he has got that killer instinct in him. Maddison, I want to see that aggressiveness out of possession that we saw and highlighted after Brentford. We know we're going to get that from Kulusevski. You don't have to worry about him. But this is definitely how I would set up Spurs tomorrow. No changes from the Brentford game, other than potentially Basuma for Bentancur. Like I said, that one for me is a bit of a toss of the coin. And I'd like you guys to let me know in the comments if you had the deciding vote. I'm going to let you be my assistant manager on that one. But that's it, really. Out of possession, be assertive, be dominant, be intense, press them hard, win that ball back, and be devastating when we do it. Spurs are the most intense pressing team in the league, and I think we can show everyone that on the biggest stage at Old Trafford tomorrow. It's a big game for Tottenham. Momentum is building. It would be 4 wins in a row if we could do it, and I really hope we can. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I will be there at Old Trafford tomorrow. I'll have a match review for you on Monday. Make sure to go and check out my TikTok channels where I'll be doing more of an instant match review at the game. So go and watch that. And for anyone that wants to come here for content after the game, like I said, I do my breakdowns usually the day after, like you've seen before me do on the channel. And you can go and watch those back on my channel. We did one after Carabao where I did a big focus on Dominic Solanke. Those usually come the day after. But if you want my instant thoughts, instant feedback, head over to my Twitter and head over to my TikTok as well, where I'll be posting my match review straight after the game. So, up the Spurs, hoping for a big result. Come on. Nice one. Thanks for watching.